y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah, here comes the, no, here comes the.
Hey! Sooner Soundwaves, episode 19, season finale, coming at you after the OU season finale with a loss to Bama in the first round of the college football playoff in Norman. 34-24, Oklahoma Sooners dropped the first round playoff game to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Such a great season, but what an unfortunate way to end the season. Gentlemen, or how about we just say Goodfella? Talk to us about the game in Norman, first round college football playoff. What are your thoughts?
Man, that was a rough way to lose our first ever college football. I guess it was like second time being there.
We are 0-5 in playoff.
0-5.
Yeah.
You know, we went up with 17-0. And I didn't get to I kind of felt like, you know what, this is not gonna last like this forever. And you talk about that the last four and the first four, you know, into the halftime going into the third quarter, come out the third quarter. That's where we lost it. You know, they go up, they score what I think 27 points between the second and third quarter. We really didn't have an answer. I mean, there was some mistakes on our end that I felt like we didn't capitalize on. You know, you talk about Clutch Mateer. I don't think he played a terrible game. I think he made some. I felt like on Friday he was the best thing that happened to OU and also the worst thing that happened a few plays. So it's almost like a high and lows in regards to Mateer. You know, the interception. I felt like he must have read like a blitz coming in, and the receiver changed it to where he saw the defender back out, so he went on his go route. Mateer still went with the hot route, pick six. You know, for those things to be happening, you know, this late in the season, there's no reason for it. There's no excuse for it. You know, when you have enough time to prep and get ready for those games, and that's a simple read. You know, he's reading, you know, left to right. And for him to make that play, that pick six, was really the dagger that started the momentum for them. That was right after I think it scored at the series before. We had them held, and then they did a run play or something. They ended up scoring or pass play. I don't know. It got out of hand real quick, and we never had a chance to recover. I think our special teams, you know, they've been so great all season. This had to be the worst special team play that I've seen all season in regards to the punting, the field goal kicking. We really never got an opportunity to flip the field just because we were just making some mistakes that we haven't seen that group of players play all season. So, you know, I felt like that loss doesn't really, you know, show, you know, who OU really is. I think even to be even playing, and I don't want to go this whole deal about we shouldn't have been there type of deal, but we had a great season. We had a great season and didn't end the way we all anticipated. So, you know, 24-34, OU loss. You know, to beat the team three times in less than 14 months, 15 months, that's hard to do. And then in a caliber team that Alabama is, to beat them three times, that's a tough task. So we really had a tough task ahead of us to even try to beat them the third time. So we got them in a fourth time. We'll see them again next year.
Yeah. So for me, gosh, the first half, the tale of two swings, and if I could go back, or I know if they could go back to 4th and 2, at the OU 10, we're up 17-0, and they're going for a 4th down with 2 yards. I think if we could have that play back, we would. That's where it all started. The kid, what was it? Brooks, number 17, Brooks from Alabama, broke a few tackles, ended up getting into the end zone for 17-7 on a 4th and 2 play. And that's where it kind of all started to go downhill. When we were up 17-0, I too felt like, man, this is too good to be true, but let's just keep padding this. Like, let's keep scoring, keep your foot on the gas, because it's not over. It's not over. I think, OU came out like gangbusters, and Alabama took the punches like Rocky Balboa, and ended up being able to withstand it and just allow OU to make the mistakes that they did. So the 4th and 2 play is what got it all started. I don't know what the hell Grayson Miller. I'd be interested to hear what was going through his mind, because it had nothing to do with David Stone missing a block. The guy wasn't even there yet. It looked like, you see those punters when they're warming up, they're just practicing their drops. Like it looked like he just was practicing his drop and forgot to bring his leg. Like a total brain fart is what it looked like. Completely embarrassing, and then he ended up kicking that D lineman and right square in the gonads, if you will. But anyway, so that's about the only win from that play. And then Mateer, total misread. I've seen a few critiques of that play specifically, and they were giving him the same look in terms of that corner dropping out. When they bring a blitz, he thought they'd do the same thing. They didn't. They sat. He threw it right to the guy in between the numbers. I don't know that you could put this game on one person. I think it was just a landslide. Everything that could go wrong really went wrong. It's almost a flip of the regular season game in terms of statistics. OU beat Alabama in every single statistic, I think. But the only difference is in the regular season game, we had 3 turnovers they had 3 turnovers to our 0. And this one, we only had the 1 turnover if you don't count the punt, which I would count the punt because, he didn't kick it. That's a fumble in my opinion, but they're not counting the punt in the statistics, I don't think. The second half, it does go to the middle leg. We saw some life a little bit, and then just couldn't get anything going after that. And when you look at this game, and I don't want to take anything away from the Alabama Crimson Tide, like they did to us when we actually beat them, but they didn't do anything to beat us. We beat ourselves. And I'll take the loss, not a fluke. I said it coming into last week, difficult to beat a great team 3 times in 14 months, difficult to beat a great team 2 times in 1 year. Same thing happened with them in Georgia. Difficult to beat a Georgia team twice in a row in the same year. And they just got their rear ends kicked against Georgia. So, Tate Sandell had his miss. Wouldn't have had to kick the second one if he would have made the first one, in my opinion. But I'm counting that first one as, extremely deflating. Yeah, you go kick that field goal and you need to come back and get 7 more, but you missed it. And talk about a huge letdown. The environment looked amazing. The environment in Norman was hopping, especially in the first half. And again, even with everything that happened in the first 2 quarters, you come out in the third quarter and it's 0-0. That's very doable. But the beginning of that third quarter, to just, kind of let them do what they want in certain terms and come out and get up on us by 10, that's difficult to come back from. So, Pretty difficult second half to watch, but at the end of the day, the good thing is it's not on one guy. Had a few personal fouls that probably shouldn't have happened. And I'll say this too. I mean, the referees let them play, and to a certain degree, but there were some cases where, you see a replay on R. Mason Thomas coming around the end, and the guy's got his, he's past the guy, but the guy's wrapping him up around the chest. Those could have been some game-changing plays that weren't called holds that would have been called holds in the regular season. But again, this is the playoffs, and you can't leave it all to the stripes. You got to win it between the marks. So anyway, St. Pablo.
Yeah, I was looking up 50 Cent mini men. I thought that was pretty cool about the fourth quarter, and then we come in and score the touchdown. But yeah, it was like you said, that first part was amazing. Absolutely loved every bit of it. The 17-0. I thought the offense, Arbuckle, had game planned really well. The offensive side, they looked so crisp, so clean, so fresh and so clean. And they were on schedule, on target, efficient all the way through. They had some nice little wrinkles. They gave a tremendous amount of optimism actually with the offense moving forward. I really liked some of the adjustments made, some of the play action, even some of the, we know Mateer is a threat with his legs, but he's not going to run. He looks like he's going to run, but he's going to throw a dart across the middle. And he just seemed really on target, that whole first quarter and a half. We were actually even kind of running the ball pretty effectively, picking up third downs. Oh my gosh. If, we talked about this early on, if you pick up that many first downs, we ought to win this ball game. I mean, we were so good on third down. Sorry. We were so good on those third down conversions, picking up the first down and moving the chains. And then, like you said, just kind of I don't know, unfortunate events start to unfold. Execution. Grayson Miller was terrible in this game. As much as I love the guy, he's had a great season, and I'm not diminishing his season by any stretch. When you're just having one of those absolute train wreck of a games and nights, he had one of those from that, like you said, whatever the hell he was doing, swinging and missing on the kick to shanking the next punts, given, field advantage was not there for us like it had been all season. And so he had absolute horrible night. I'm not 100% sure that I agree with Brent Venables on the Tate Sandell kicking, going for 3 points. I know, is it not Kirby Smart? Who's the guy? He's the big OSU. Yeah, the big OSU homer. He's up there and, right in this position, we ought to kick it's about the time left. We ought to kick a field goal instead of go for a touchdown. Well, you got wind in your face and all that. And it's like, shut up, Herb Street. Let's get a touchdown and let's even see where we're at is kind of been my thought process on that. And then you bring the guy right back out there at a 51-yard field goal with a wind in your face, after, missing one in a kind of a critical moment. And it's like, well, I just didn't agree with it, but no one cares really in that regard, I guess. So, I don't know. It seems as if our unlucky number's 24. We cannot, for the love of God, in the last 2 seasons exceed much more than 24 points. I swear to you, if you go back in these last 2 seasons and you calculate outside of Temple, which no one cares, and sorry, Temple, or, any of these, teams that don't mean much of anything other than a tune-up job. We cannot score more than 24 points. I mean, it's just, we might get 27, but, we got stuck again right there. And, I thought there's a couple times, and not just the Xavier drop,
Yeah, I forgot about that play. That was
Sorry, what was that?
That was a killer play. Yeah. That
It
was the
really
play
was.
that made his punt, that he dropped the, I
Yep.
mean, that he muffed the punt. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 3rd and 3, about the midway point, a little not quite on the, their side of the field, but 3rd and 3. He has 15, 20 yards of running right ahead of him. You're up 17-7. You're up 10. Went back, kind of watched that play. It's like, at some point or another in your head as a quarterback, as you mature, you pick up the first down, you kill some clock, you're up double digits at home. As opposed to, again, like you said, highs and lows, you live and die by the guy. He went for it all and he was wide open, and Xavier should have caught it, but he's your running back. I mean, that's not his primary responsibility, but nonetheless, just pick up the daggum first down is what you'd hope for at the end. But still, I thought John Mateer had a really good football game. The defense played really well. There are just some critical moments where Alabama's offense just, man, they looked amazing. That catch on the back of the helmet. Kai Simpson, I mean, I'm going to give it up to the guy. Dadgummit, man, you could punch him in the face over and over again, and he is just going to get right back up, and he's going to just keep slinging that football. And he had some throws at certain points that I just thought were unbelievable. I do agree. I thought OU got royally screwed on the refereeing in the ball game with the defensive line. There seemed to be holding from the very get-go. So I think that did create some opportunity for Alabama's offense. I mean, I felt like Alabama's O-line massively held, on so many critical plays, but nonetheless, that is football, and you got to get in there anyways. But OU's defense played really well. Just some, moments and times. I do agree. I think was it on that goal line stance. Was it 4th and 2? Did you say that moment somewhere right around there? Brent Venables should have called a timeout. We were not in position. We were not ready. The defense had no idea what to do on that play. They're a couple of them anyways. They're pointing around. Call a timeout. This is such a critical moment. Set back up. If you could stop them there, it's really it's going to look great, but or hopefully end up great. But it didn't, and so. Not to take anything away from the Sooners season at all. They had an amazing season. I think it's just everybody's hopes got up so much, in that first half at home in Norman, 17-0. Man, I've heard another podcaster talk about this, like with Georgia and the Alabamas and stuff. You have to cut the head off the snake, If you don't cut the head off of the snake, then they're back in it. And it's like with Alabama, you had 17-0. You have to kill them then. If you don't, dadgummit, Alabama may win a national title again. I mean, that's how dominant force they are. And I am not going to roll tide it ever. But if I watch any more college football playoffs, the rest of this, whatever's left, I sort of have to root for Alabama because they beat us at home, and they were the first playoff team to win a home game, to beat someone at their own house, on the road. So, and what also, I'm sorry, it infuriates me. It's the exact same freaking score, 34-24. I think when we played Alabama that year with Kyler Murray. Now that score's inflated because he was coming back. We were getting our butts kicked by Alabama, and he is slinging the rock around, and there's only like a minute or something left, and we scored a touchdown at the end. But it's the exact same freaking score. So
Yeah.
So to go to the predictions, just because we do talk about them. Goodfella, you had 20-17 OU. St. Pablo, you had 21-13 OU. And then I had
way off.
23-17 Bama. So, man, I tell you what, though, when it was 17-0, guys, I was thinking, I was talking to the wife about driving to Pasadena for New Year's Day. Tickets were $350 a piece. Nope. Not going to Pasadena now.
That's cheaper than Red River.
Yeah. Before the, I don't know what they are now. But before the conclusion of that game, they were $3.50 a piece. And the Rose Bowl looks, I mean, I've never been, but it looks a lot like Cotton Bowl in terms of it's not huge. It's it doesn't look like there's a bad seat in it. So anyway.
And you could have went over and did a little surfing.
Pass on that. So as St. Pablo mentioned, 10-3, Sooners finished the season 10-3, which is way better than what two of the three of us thought that they would finish. St. Pablo did have a 10-2 regular season finish. But again, 0-5 in the college football playoff. Of course, everybody thinks that should disqualify us for ever being in the college football playoff ever again, but I disagree. So now, gentlemen, we look at Team 132. We look at the season of 2026. What does OU look like? Who stays? Who goes? Who's already in the portal? Who's graduating and gone? And who declares?
Well, I would say maybe a 10-2 season again next year. I think that's very optimistic, but there's the early part of that schedule looks really, really challenging to me. So that would be a prediction early on, 10-2. Going to Georgia, playing Texas. Texas is going to be, I hate to say it, but every year we think Texas is going to be. I don't know. I don't know with Texas, but they beat us right now. We're on a 2-game losing streak, right?
Yeah. So we open up with UTEP. We go to Ann Arbor, which really shouldn't be a problem with all the crap going on there. Home against New Mexico. Then we go to Georgia. We have a bye. Texas and Dallas. Home against Kentucky. I don't think we've ever played Kentucky in the SEC yet. Nope. We go to Mississippi State. Home against South Carolina. We go to Florida. Home against Ole Miss. Home against Texas A&M. And at Missouri. So no Bama next year, which is a gift. We do trade that one for Georgia. No Tennessee. We trade that one, in my opinion, for Florida. A&M,
no LSU.
No LSU, so probably trade that one for A&M. So again, not we get, in my opinion, we get some of the and I hate to say bottom feeders, but we get some of the bottom feeders next year of the SEC that we haven't had the last couple years. That will be nice. And but the schedule next year looks not easy, but maybe a little less difficult than this year. Let's see. In terms of graduation, we lose a couple offensive linemen. Jaden Ott. So, that's a bad deal. Actually, 3 offensive linemen. We lose Keontez Lewis. We lose Jaron Canick, another offensive lineman. We lose Deion Burks, and then Javante Barnes, who redshirted towards the middle of this year. I believe has entered the transfer portal. Correct?
Yep.
Transfer
the 23rd.
Yeah, transfer portal guys. Do you have that up?
Yep. So I have Barnes on the 23rd. We have Jacob Sexton, OU offensive lineman, 23rd. I have Caden Helms entering the portal on the 22nd. I have Kobe McKinstry. He's the 21st linebacker. Got Kendall Dobie, the 17th. One of our defensive backs have entered the portal.
So a few guys entering the portal. I think for me, the biggest one there is Kobe McKenzie. And I don't know that I think we saw it with David Stone, last year. I think you get some of these guys that enter the portal to see what's out there, and then maybe digress to coming back. So Maybe there's some of that. But at the end of the day, Satania is due to return. He's only a junior. Mateer has a choice to make. My hope is that he returns. Giovanni Gibson's back. That Jermichael Carter's back. Taylor Tatum's back. Xavier Robinson's only a sophomore. You know, the offensive line that we were playing with before the bowl game towards the end of the year, most of those guys are back.
I heard they're targeting the Kansas State guy, the kid, the receiver, Jace Brown. Have you heard?
I haven't heard anything about that.
Because Deion Burks is out.
No, I haven't heard anything. Yeah.
I don't know anything about the kid. I haven't watched the Big 12, but I didn't know if you guys had watched a little bit more of the Big 12 this year or not.
No, but I've been following K-State a little bit, maybe the past couple of weeks, and I've seen that kid that's entered the portal. He seemed to be pretty solid. Again, as these just highlights that you see on social media. But I did see that he entered. I didn't know OU was entertaining a conversation in that regards, but it makes sense when we have some receivers leaving and we don't have, they're still fighting to get Jaron to see if he can get that. Was it 6 year? I think 1 year he played lacrosse for OU or played some sport. Heineke, sorry.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get him to get back on the field this year. So, you mentioned earlier about some linebackers with coming back in, kind of testing the waters with Kobe. It will make almost sense for him to stay. If you look at who's all leaving the linebacker room, this year, the tail end of the season, he didn't get a lot of playing time in terms of like where he was. But you look at Heineke and what he was able to do to come in and play some really great football. If we get him back and get Kobe back, like we could be, pretty solid in the linebacker area. But if not, we have some work to do. But knowing Brent Venables and what he's able to do with linebackers, I'm not too worried about a linebacker play. But I would be, I feel more better if we have someone that's been there before that's coming in and it stays. So maybe he pop in, like you say, in the portal, see what's out there.
I would interject, Goodfella.
Yeah.
On Heineke. Don't let him go. I mean, you give him whatever he wants. I thought
you keep him.
Yeah.
He's not in the
he's not in the portal. He's not.
He's the one that's applying for the NCAA to give him another year of eligibility because he
the
played
6th year. Okay, yeah. I pray he gets that. That guy was amazing this year.
Yeah. So on the D line, we graduate Dominic Williams, R. Mason Thomas, Marvin Jones, Grayson Halton. That's the D lineman we lose. Spears Jennings declared for the draft, but he also was a senior.
Yeah.
Kendall Dolby, which entered the portal, it lists him as a senior, so he must have a red shirt. Kendall Daniels, which was the transfer that we got from OSU, had the big hit against Michigan.
The only good thing to ever come out of Stillwater.
Yeah. But as juniors, Gentry Williams supposedly comes back. Omasigo comes back. Kip Lewis is just a junior.
Nice. Kip Lewis had a good game against Bama.
Peyton Bowen's a junior. Taylor Wine's a junior. Stone's a sophomore.
Oh, God.
Powers the third is a sophomore. Jaden Jackson's a sophomore.
Nice.
Eli Bowen is a sophomore.
Peyton?
He's a sophomore or junior, I think.
There you go, man.
So anyway, we have a lot of the nucleus that's coming back. And whatever we can pick up or whatever guys we can develop that are on this freshman and sophomore list that we don't know yet could be interesting. Let's see. Grayson Miller is a junior, and Tate Sandell is a junior. So special teams, there should be no excuses for them next year either.
And Michael Hawkins is still waiting in the wings. Is that right?
Michael Hawkins is waiting in the wings. I still think, here's the great thing about the NIL this time of year. I think Mateer's going to make more in NIL next year staying in Norman than he would playing for the NFL. I mean,
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
if he's got a couple mil, he's not making that next year in the NFL, I don't think. And, I think he could improve himself. He could dang sure improve the Sooners. This is his first year of having pretty stiff competition. He didn't do terrible. I would say he probably finished the year above average. If we go back to that conversation, he will be probably a potential Heisman candidate going into next year. And first few weeks he has some things to prove, but at the end of the day, let's see here.
Well, when you take a team, that was 6-7 the year prior, first year of the SEC, which is great about our podcast. We started this exactly the year entering SEC, so I'll always be able to keep track how long we've been in. So first year SEC, 6-7. Oh no, okay, dadgummit. Yeah, and there you go. So first year. But our podcast was way above average that first year, and then the second year, OU goes 10-3, and that's John Mateer played a critical role in that development of what everyone would say was an unexpected 10-3, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
So, I mean, above and beyond expectations. So, yeah, I think next year's sky's the limit, some critical. So, what are you guys seeing on your rostering, though, as probably the most critical get or area of need moving in next year to really take that next step?
For me, it's offensive weapons on the edge. I think we got to build back. We got to find a tight end. We lost, the Caden Helms kid was the number 2 tight end. He's in the portal, which could be a play for him. Like I said, he had a podcast, a Sooner podcast going on. And so that was a little bit surprising to me.
He's been injured, right?
I don't know if he's been injured. He had a catch. He had a catch last against Alabama.
But a majority of his time, though, hadn't he been kind of on the injury?
Yeah, maybe. He's a big kid. Okay. He would definitely be a starter. So we need to find somebody for the tight end position, and then need to build back the wide receiver room. I said Burks is graduating, so we lose one, but still, you never know what happens on the edge. And when you spread it out and throw it like as much as we do, you need all the help you can get.
Yeah,
okay.
I would probably agree. The same offensive weapons on the outside. I think our running back room, you can never not get enough, right? So if we can pull one, maybe one guy from the portal, just to support because they're young, sophomore, freshman running backs. There's someone out there with a little more experience because they got hurt. They got hurt really around the same time. So we were just kind of limping in our backs this year. So having a third back coming in there with experience, I think will definitely support Mateer if he comes back next year in the backfield. Again, linebackers, I think that's an obvious spot in terms of just depth, what we have now. There may be some young guys coming up we just haven't seen yet on the field, seeing how they are developing for next year. And then our tight ends, that's still up in the air in terms of who we have right now. But again, I'm not too much worried about development on tight end. When you convert a linebacker over to be one of the best tight ends in the SEC, if not the nation, like whatever systems he's working, I feel pretty confident in terms of getting the tight end in and getting them developed, ready to go for next year. So those are my areas: linebackers, receivers ish, maybe another running back, and then a tight end.
Torrey Blaylock, I thought was more of an aggressive downhill runner, like taking hits toward the end of the season as a running back, as a tailback. There wasn't as I thought he started to look like X a bit sometimes in the hole, and so I thought it was a pretty tough runner down the stretch there. It'd be interesting to say, but is there any interest then in getting any QB 2-3 high profile in competition or ready to rock and roll against Mateer or in replacement of Mateer in the event of an injury? Or are you guys pretty comfortable with the QB room as is?
I'm comfortable.
Okay. Okay. You have no desire for Lagway, or is it Lagway or whatever Florida guy? No.
Because you're going to have to pay him, and you don't pay a 2 or 3. I think Hawkins is. I'm surprised he hasn't gone and entertained the portal. What is the window for this portal?
I think it's the second.
Second opens or second closes?
I think it opens again January 2nd, I do believe.
So you guys are comfortable with the quarterback room, Goodfella?
So I'm always in line for some really great competition. So if there is someone out there, that we're talking about just competing, I'm open to a conversation to see where we are. I don't think Mateer is a bad quarterback. I just think there's some things this year that happened in terms of the injury. There's some just inconsistency on terms of just him being mentally ready for a game. So I'm always open for, what's out there. Do we have somebody that's able to come in, either support or put some more fire? I don't know how much, Hawkins in terms of just comfort level, in terms of like practicing and competing. I don't know if he was a threat to Mateer. So I love a good competition room to see who's going to be the QB1. So
the portal's 2nd through the 16th, so it's a 2-week window.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget that getting a player out of the portal costs money that doesn't go to another kid. Let's say you do go get DJ Lagway for competition in the quarterback room, you probably just cost your program $2 million that could have gone to someone else.
Sure. Just
for competition. So I like Mateer. I like Hawkins as a backup. I think Hawkins has a future. And when that future, now if you tell me Mateer's going to the draft, then obviously, we need to find a quarterback. Maybe it is Lagway, and we see what happens between Lagway and Hawkins, so on and so forth. But if Mateer's not going to the portal or the draft, I think you stand still. Because I think if I recall correctly, I think Arbuckle just signed a good quarterback prospect that'll come in next year and begin to learn. So, in terms of needs for me, I think, I could get behind the linebacker. I could get behind defense, but I think it's on the edge for the offense.
Well, what about any personnel changes? Because, this year was remarkably better across the board for the Sooners in terms of their record. But we had new faces in the program. As we roll into a new season, what do you think happens with, what kind of pressure is there? There's always pressure. It's the University of Oklahoma, but what's the outlook for Arbuckle next year? What's your expectations for the offense and its growth and development? He had a good, I'll state the opinion. I thought he had a good solid first year at OU, but it was, I think at times maybe a bit, I wanted more out of the offense like everyone else. What are you thinking for next year?
I was satisfied. If you compare last year to this year, and this year being his first year, I was extremely satisfied with Arbuckle compared to what we had last year. And I think just in the grand scheme of things, personnel wise, to answer your question, don't do too much. Like, you just made the first round of the college football playoff. having arguably a top 5 strength of schedule. The only, in my opinion, the only position or area that could be remarkably, not even remarkably, that could be potentially on the hot seat would be DeMarco Murray. I think we've seen repeated years, consecutive years of lack of performance at the running back position. But you might be tying that to the offensive line injuries. It's hard to say. But if you told me, if you were the GM and you said, okay, one guy, you got to get rid of one person. Unfortunately for me, that would be the running backs coach, just because of the lack of production that we've seen in consecutive years, maybe even back 3 years from that.
Well, not even get rid of anybody, Iceberg, but just say restructuring. Are you comfortable? I mean, it sounds crazy to say, but are you comfortable with this continued operation as is, with Brent Venables playing dual roles? I mean, I went fantastically well this year, but I mean, you're looking at a new year next year, and he's the head coach. I mean, do we go get somebody out there, or
No.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I think that's a decision he made, right? So as the head coach, he said, I'm going to run a defense. So how do you push him not to do that, right? When he's done probably one of the best years of defensively we've seen in a long time. Like, it's proven he can do it. I don't know if you take that away just based on what he's able to do this year. In terms of the defensive side, that's tough to move that piece.
Is there any fairness to the criticism, though, that obviously the defense, had this playoff game, the team was not prepared in all 3 phases. The offense looked really well. The defense looked good. The special teams, the 3rd phase, looked horrible. And as the head coach, you're responsible for all 3 phases. I mean, did he get too tunnel vision down the stretch? Is there any responsibility to be put on him for that debacle in your first playoff game at home when you're up 17-0? Or do we just put it all on the players and say it's all on them?
I think things happened. Here's what we're getting into a problem with college football, St. Pablo, is firing somebody for one game.
I am not saying fire him. I'm not saying fire him.
For demoting him or taking away a responsibility for something that happened in one game. Look back, every other 18 episodes that we had, the majority of them, we were talking about how well the special teams did and how well the defense did, right? Well, all of a sudden we get into the college football playoff, the special teams doesn't perform very well, and we're wanting to talk about a reorganization of duties or a potential, a personnel change. I don't think that's the solution. I think what you had is, and what you had is a kicker that kicked his tail off the entire year, that unfortunately had his bonehead mistake in the first round of the college football playoff. It had nothing to do with coaching or preparation. Hell, there's even people out there that think the field goal was good. In the punting, he flipped the field in 12 other games.
Yeah.
Won the field position battle for us in 12 other games, and in the 13th, he had the worst game of his life. I don't know that has anything to do with personnel or being prepared. So for me, no. Unlike everybody else in the nation that's firing people for one bad year or one bad game, no, stand pat with what you're doing. Nobody expected you, except for St. Pablo in the small town that you live in. Nobody in the world expected you to go 10-2 and make the college football playoff, and you did. So look at what you did right and improve upon those, instead of looking at what may have happened on December 19th in the 3rd quarter or the middle 8 and finding somebody to blame it on. That's my opinion.
Okay, so let me be clear. I'm not saying fire anybody, but let me reposition.
Don't change a thing, St. Pablo. Don't change a thing.
Okay, so on the other side of it, though, you are not you when you were at the University of Oklahoma, you are playing for championships, whether it be the conference championship or national championship. The defense was so amazing this year, and I give all the credit, but they were amazing the year prior as well. And a very difficult schedule with a even more horrible offensive production the year prior. So it's not as if you can say that the transformation for Brent Venables to be the play caller of the defense is that big of a difference on the defense side. He is a defensive-minded coach as the head coach. My point being is you did not attain the goals, and it was not just any game. It was by far you had the most time on preparation, the biggest game of your life, and I know every game, the hard to kill thing, which really pissed me off that Georgia started that bull crap, and then I didn't know that. That's another Herb Street thing. I don't know why. I don't know Herb Street. I like his dog. It's cool, but I'm just saying, position it. It truly is your biggest game of your career.
You are falling into the trenches of the other blue blood programs that fired their coach.
No firing. No firing.
Makes the playoffs last year, and then all of a sudden they lose a couple games this year and want to make a change. I don't. We went 6-7, and look at where we are now. Like that's not because you don't. I don't think you change. Like you improve upon. But I don't think you change.
You don't change. I think you say what you have. If we're just talking about, you mentioned about
and that's a conversation I'm having. Improve upon, Goodfella. I'm saying improve upon. You
keep it the same. You keep it the same. That's one game. A few plays, few moments that changed that whole game. We were up 17-0. You're talking about managing. We're up 17-0, and you look at the game, maybe 3 or 4 plays, change the entire complexity of that game. So no, you don't change nothing. You keep it the same, roll with it, and then if you need to next year, if things don't work out, then you look at, okay, this is where we are, and you have enough things to look back on to see if you need to make a change. But right now, don't change it. It's not broken.
All right. I literally was asking if you thought going into next season, if they even considered going back to him.
Your positioning wasn't on either or. It was just a question, right?
It's a question, but I think it's fair. I think it's a fair question.
What do you think? You didn't answer the question yet. We answered it. So what is your response to it?
I'm thinking through it still. Again, the defense was really good when he was the head coach. With the defensive coordinator,
they were not as good as they were this year. Statistically, they were not as good as they were this year. And we also
is that to blame them?
We said multiple times last year we felt like he had a bigger hand in the defense than he probably should have as the head coach with that young guy that he brought in. I don't remember what his name was.
It's amazing to me, as horrible as the offense was year one in the SEC, that they, OU, and credit to them, allowed him to even take more involvement on the defensive side of the football. It was clear that he was already focused on the defense, which is great. I love it. It's awesome in year one. But there's a whole other side of the football, and that debacle in year one with the offensive coordinators and quarterback situation going on is absolutely train wreck that was needed from a head coaching mentality, standpoint. And then this year, yes, was a lot better, but anyways, just a thought. Love the Sooners and love the defense that was this year. Sorry.
Okay.
Good
Moving
question.
on from firing everybody because we lost in the college football.
I did not say fire. I did not say fire.
Moving on from demoting and punishing people for losing.
Rearranging.
Supporting, providing support, extra personnel.
Get the hell out of here. Okay. Let's move on to the rest of the college football playoff as we close here. Let's see. I don't remember if it was when we were on the air or not, but in terms of our first round picks, you both had OU. I went against the grain with Bama and hated myself for it, but it turns out I won. We all had Oregon. We all had Ole Miss. And in the other game, you two had A&M and I had Miami. In the second round, here's what we have in the St. Pablo. This is where we just completely okay. In the
my national title's out.
National championship.
Yeah, it's gone.
Goodfella, you had OU winning in the second round, which I would have agreed with if they would have won. You have Oregon beating Texas Tech and Georgia beating Ole Miss. You had A&M in that other game, but they're out. St. Pablo, you had OU winning the second round. You have Texas Tech beating Oregon. You have Georgia beating Ole Miss, and you had A&M in that last game, and they're out. I have, and I don't like this, but we'll see what happens. I have Indiana winning, Oregon beating Texas Tech, Georgia beating Ole Miss, and I have Ohio State beating Miami. So we'll see how that goes. Just to, since this is the season finale, Goodfella's national champion is Georgia. St. Pablo's national champion was OU.
Boomer.
And my national champion is Oregon. So we will see how that plays out. Any other thoughts about the college football playoff? I do, and I commend Dan Lanning for getting it and saying it on a pedestal. I could kind of get around with this next round. The teams that got a bye also getting a home playoff game because you see the atmosphere of those home playoff games. Those folks deserve it too.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how you change that and still incorporate all the bowls and whatever, but I do think this next round, at least for those teams that got a bye, they should host at their places too.
I think Dan Lanning should shut up and just coach football. I do not care what Dan Lanning.
Keep the shirt on. You should keep
yes, I do not care what he thinks that the college football playoffs is jacked up. Whatever. I mean, shut up. You're in the middle of the season. Just play it out and do your X's.
I'm out. What if OU won the SEC championship? It was sitting in the top 4, and they got would you want them to host that second round in Norman?
No, not right now. I mean, why would I whine about it? I mean, they're being little babies, at this point. I mean, everybody's whining. I mean, go behind closed doors after the season's over and do all your whining. I'm sick and tired of everybody getting on their little, microphone, including this guy, and being like, the college football playoffs is broken, everybody. Wah. Shut up. You're right in the middle of it. Just play. Finish out. You didn't get you got an SEC championship trophy. That ought to be daggum good enough I'd take that over a home playoff game any day of the week. I'd take a natty. Don't ever come back to Norman. We'll play on the road 12 games. Road dogs. I just wanted to.
Okay. Well, I will remember this conversation. It's recorded. But I would bet that if we got a top 4 and we were to buy, you would be begging for a game in Norman.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I know you, Pablo. I know you.
They did do a good job. That lazy.
He wasn't even, and that's what you went on that whole rant and whatever. He wasn't even arguing for them to host. He was saying, realistically, this game should be in Lubbock.
Yeah.
No, I know, but he was whining about the playoffs. Like, they destroyed, who those 2 teams that got in that Tulane and Tulane.
Okay. That needs to be fixed. Those group of 5 that sorry if I have a microphone here and I'm whining about it, but that
you kid, you're this is what we do. That's why we got that's supposed to be microphones.
That was like, did you see the ratings? Like they were less than half of what the OU Alabama game was.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. Did you guys watch any of it?
No,
I
absolutely
didn't
not.
watch it. Yeah.
Hey, well, though I saw that the a little bit, and Ole Miss got that record for all the Santa hats. That was pretty cool. But outside of that, yeah. But what do you do with the fans? Like, I'm surprised that any of those stadiums are filled up because you pretty much know your team's going on to the next stage, so you're buying those tickets. And unless, I mean, everybody else in this country is making tons of cash somewhere. They could just pay for all these tickets.
What you do is you put them in the bowl game. Like, you don't put them in the playoff. You put them in the bowl game. Make a nice bowl game. Do some gifts, put some money into it. But don't put them in the playoffs. We don't want to see. No one wants to see that outside of their fans. This is not March Madness. This is not March Madness where you could throw a team in there, and they might win. This is college football. It's a different ball game.
Basketball is different than football. It's really difficult to have a Cinderella in a physical sport as opposed to basketball when you could just shoot better because you shot better. What I'll say with the fans, I think we're prime example, or I'll say I'm a prime example. First round playoff game in Norman, okay, that's great. I'll watch it on TV. But if we were going to go to the Rose Bowl, I was going. I'd be surprised to see the statistics on the people that go to both, that aren't family or the select few like Scissorhands or, that go to everything. I think there's probably more of people that, okay, I'm not going to this one, but I'm going to the next one than not. So, if we would have hosted James Madison University for the first round playoff game, I think it would have been just the same environment that it was with Alabama in Norman. So, gentlemen, this is it. This is a season finale for this football season. Let's see. This is episode 19, September 5th. Let me just, hang on here. How many days until September 5th, 2026? We are 253 days away from the season opener. So we are probably about 240 days away from the season 3, episode 1. Because we will likely come out 2 weeks ahead of time with a season preview like we always do, and then the week of the first game. So, gosh, 240 days away from season 3.
That's why God created track and field. That's all I can say.
We go from football to track and field. St. Pablo. Gosh. Okay. All right. Final thoughts. Gentlemen.
Hey, great season overall. Didn't end the way we anticipated, but to be able to play in a playoff game a Friday night at home, you just doesn't get any better than that. So, yes, would have loved to have the win. Absolutely want to win at home, but to get the chance to play is phenomenal. I think it was great for the state, great for Norman, and great for the players. I think the players getting a chance to showcase themselves in the playoffs, getting that bid. Kudos to them. Thank you, seniors who's graduating, for all the work that you guys done this year. I'm excited about the returning players. Keep the same coaching staff as we move forward. And Mateer, hey man, you got some time to figure things out. Knowing how competitive you are, this is going to be a really great off season in the spring. So I'm looking forward to see how good he's getting next year. So that's all. Boomer Sooner.
Yeah. So we came into this year talking about how hot or when Brent Venables' seat would be hot. The seat is cold and comfortable. I think Brent Venables has done a very, very good job this year. Has some room for improvement with the staff and with the preparation. But I think, what he did build is he built a foundation, and I think he's got some leadership positions to fill within the team. And my hope is that he's able to do that, and we carry on everything that we did this year into next year with the mindset of improving. I like a Ben Arbuckle in season 2. I like a John Mateer in season 2. And I hope that, in the grand scheme of things, nobody goes anywhere and nothing changes, and we don't have any more surprises in the transfer portal, and we pay the guys that we increase the guys that we should increase in terms of their NIL, and we look more within in an effort to improve next year with what I would consider a little bit easier of a schedule than we have this year, in hopes that that we finish the year 11-1 or even better. And by gosh, let's beat Texas. I'm so tired of Texas fans. I would score 60 on them. Like, I want all the touchdowns for the last 2 years that we haven't scored on.
Oh, I am so glad you said that, because that was like one of the first things in my head. When you guys were talking about wrapping it up. Let's beat Texas next year. I mean, Brent Venables did a phenomenal job. All the OU staff, the players, phenomenal year, but it's not a comfortable year because, again, beat Texas, win a conference championship in your third year. Let's go on and make a serious run. Win it. It's been a long, long time for the Sooners in a national championship. That would be the ultimate goal. But yeah, it's been a great year. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you doing this in the midst of everything that's going on in life with our busy schedules. It's been fun. It's been up and down year. This has probably been one of the more, as far as I can remember, Sooner football. This has probably been one of the most tense seasons I've ever experienced, week in, week out.
Yeah.
Every stinking game was like on an edge that was unpredictable, which is crazy. If you go back and look at the season, very well could have been another 6-7. Why did I go there? Let's see.
All right.
I'm done.
Okay. Gentlemen, that'll do it. Season finale for season 2, episode 19. We'll see you next year for season 3. Sooner sound waves. Boomer.
Sooner.
Here comes the
Texas, you didn't make it. You suck. Even though you beat.
I hope you get beat by Michigan.
Here comes the